What's up, guys? Miss Pess here, back with another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video for you guys, and this time it's a little bit different. I am going to be bringing you the full podcast for the Galactic War Report that I was a guest on. The Galactic War Report are a couple of guys who are hosted on RadioFreeTatooine.com. Link will be in the description below to the full podcast if you want to download it or watch it yourself. Otherwise, feel free to sit back, relax. You don't have to watch the video on this one, just play it in the background. There will be some full geared out 7-star Cassian and Jin from when I had them on loan from EA playing in the background with some Galactic War. If you enjoy the podcast, definitely follow these guys on Twitter. Their link will be in the description below. Otherwise, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Boshuda, fellow Holotable hustlers, you're tuned into Radio Free Tatooine's Galactic War Report, a Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes podcast that's better than some and worse than others. I'm Sean, aka The Other Sean, and sitting across the holotable from me is John, aka The Uncanny Mr. H.
And my circuits are all in a twist.
This week we have so very, very, very much news, and really only a couple news stories now that I think about it, but they're really big stories. So here to help us make sense of all of this madness is a friend of the show you may have seen on YouTube, as his channel is one of our favorites, Galaxy of Heroes channel. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Pasiert.
Howdy, howdy. How's it going, guys?
Not bad at all.
Fantastic.
It's an exciting time to be alive.
I'm very excited to be with
I'll tell you what,
this is awesome.
It's an exciting time to be a Force Awakens fan in Galaxy of Heroes right now, I think.
That it is. That it is.
So after the break, we're going to dig into this latest update, and we'll talk about your channel and also the First Order and Darth Nihilus.
Radio Free Tatooine is now on Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can help support the shows you love and get rewarded while doing so. Receive exclusive rewards like early access to the latest episodes, or even invitations to Google Hangouts with the hosts. For more information, visit patreon.com/RadioFreeTatooine.
Okay, first up, we want to ask you a few questions for any of our listeners who are not already subscribed to you. What kind of channel do you run?
Well, I started making YouTube videos. I know you probably wouldn't guess by my subscriber count because it's not that high, but I started making videos almost a year ago, and it really just kind of started as a hobby. I like watching YouTube videos of different games that I play. When I played Call of Duty for a long time, I would always get on and look up videos on in-depth weapon guides and reviews and stuff like that. So I kind of started my channel because there weren't really a whole lot of YouTube channels for Galaxy of Heroes at the time. There were only maybe 2 or 3 that I can think of. Mm-hmm. And so I really kind of took a step back and said, you know, I'm not really seeing what I want to see on YouTube. And I kind of know what I'm doing, or at least I felt that way. And so I did a little research, found some video capturing apps online, and I started making videos from my phone, and it's just kind of grown. I am part of what EA calls the Mobile Game Changers program, where I am not a paid sponsor. Like, EA is not a paying sponsor, but they do provide me with small perks like early access to content and other small perks. And so I'm kind of sponsored by EA along with 4 other YouTubers, Arnold T101, Mobile Gamer, Warrior from Team Instinct, and Ramon from Team Skunk. So the 5 of us comprise the EA Mobile Game Changers program for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes.
Cool. You're like a super friend, basically.
Kind of. Yeah, I never thought that just making YouTube videos on a game that I really enjoyed would grow into something like this, but it's actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got a fun channel. One thing that I like about your videos is that you can tell, I can get the sense that you're not coming off as someone who, like, I know everything about this game. Listen to me. I'm going to tell you how to win, or anything like that.
Right.
You can tell, like, in your voice, like, you're really excited about new content. Whenever there's new content and you're doing a review of it, I like watching your videos because it's like, this character is gonna be so cool, you know? And yeah, it's just inspiring. Makes me look forward to some of the new stuff a little bit more. So
Awesome. I'm glad.
Yeah.
It's kind of what I'm looking for.
So what with your current state of the game, what characters are you working on right now? What are you trying to build?
Okay, so right now, I am in the process of working on. I feel like I'm spreading myself too thin, but it's really hard not to with so many characters that are available in the game, so many characters that are important for not just the Rancor, not just your arenas, not just the tank raid, but just in general. And with the recent addition of a lot of characters to the guild store and the fleet shipments, I kind of went more ships. My goal initially when ships was released was to get to the Zeta challenge. Sure. And so I postponed a lot of character farming from fleet shipments. And since I've been able to do this Zeta challenge, my characters that I've been working on lately have been Sunfac and Rex. Those have been my two main targets. Sunfac was actually a lot faster farm than I expected it to be because he shows up sometimes 3 times in fleet shipment. So I was able to get him to 7 stars really quick, or in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
You know, 4 to 5 weeks, I think, was how much time I actually spent farming him. Rex, I just got to 6 stars, so he's a little bit farther behind just because he doesn't show up near as often in fleet shipments, and when he does, he's only in one spot. Mm-hmm. So right now, the 2 main characters I am working on right now are Sunfac, gear-wise, Rex, shard-wise, and there are a couple other characters that I've kind of geared up a little bit along the way in the last couple weeks. So, but right now, Sunfac is my main.
Yeah, Sunfac's a guy. I've got him. I'm kind of torn on him because I've got him at gear 6 and, I'm sorry, 6 star, and we're supposed to be getting separatist shards in this upcoming event.
Right.
So I just don't know how many I can rely on. I've got about 80 out of 100. So I'm kind of like, do I even bother right now?
I would actually probably leave him at 80 out of 100 if you've got good Ewoks and resistance characters. Mm-hmm. Because in my experience, for those first-time accomplishments, they usually give either 5 or 10 shots per tier. So if you have good enough characters that you think you can get the bonus tier done, then you'll probably get those 20 shards.
Yeah.
That's what I could probably say with a safe bet. You'll probably get 20 shards. If not, you'll at least get 15, I would bet. And then it's just one ship.
Like you said.
Fleet shipment.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to take long either way. But.
Well, and you have a good resistance team now, and I have a good Ewok team, so we should be set.
Let's do this.
And we both have a passable Ugnaught.
And everyone's got a maxed out Ugnaught, so...
of course. Right, yeah. I think I stopped farming Ugnaught when he hit 4 stars.
Me and Sean both did it when the tank raid coming out. This is going to be great. Mm-hmm. All droids.
Well, you know, honestly, I've seen some people use Ugnaught in phase 3 of the tank raid and actually have some decent success.
Yeah.
He stuns everything.
He does.
You can't hit the little fella.
Yeah.
He destroyed so much.
You throw him on a squad with Jawa and Dacia, and they're all stunning all the droids together. Mm-hmm. It's just like a big giant stun fest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, he's one of those guys, Ugnaught. Like, I like making fun of him, but he is kind of... He's on the back burner, but he's going to get geared. It's going to happen
like
eventually.
Gear 8 or 9, and he's 7 stars and level like 83.
I just feel like casting pearls before swine, like in so many ways.
So, I hear you.
So what? one thing I like asking people about this game is, what did you do, like maybe in your early days or mid-level, whatever, that you wish you could do over, like a pitfall that you may have fallen into that a newer player, like you could give them advice, like don't max out your Ugnaught or something like that.
Don't farm cup. I didn't farm cup. That's number one. Okay?
I'm about to. I'm about to.
Police in the arena store, and you're like, I want that guy.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
He seems cool when you're low level.
Yeah.
As tempting as it would be. No. One of the mistakes that I know I made early on was I bought the droid pack. Now that in itself was not the mistake.
Sure.
The mistake was not gearing and using those droids, because early on in the game I started at public release, so not last November but the November before last, so about 15-16 months ago, and I was a huge KOTOR fan. Knights of the Old Republic, that was my game back.
HK-47.
Oh yeah, HK-47. Yeah. I saw him, I was like, I gotta have the meatbag hater.
Yeah,
and he
right.
hates meatbags. So I saw HK-47 and I was immediately like, okay, sold. $25. Heck yes, you take my money. You know. And so I bought the droid pack, and I played them a little bit, but I didn't realize just how much synergy they really had. And I didn't realize how powerful they really were, because I just kind of got distracted with all the other shiny objects early on in the game. Yep. And so my biggest mistake would definitely be that I bought the droids and I used them a tiny bit, but didn't really make good use of them. Yeah. That was about the time that I realized, holy cow, droids are really awesome. Why have I been focusing on other characters? Another mistake that I think I made was not really managing my resources very well. That was, I think, one of the biggest pitfalls that I fell into early in the game, is that when I had gear, I would just burn a hole in my pocket. I would see that green plus sign on different characters, and I'd be like,
on like a holo projector when you could have used it on a furnace or something. Yeah.
Exactly. I didn't know early on that, oh my gosh, all this small pieces of gear eventually can be used to make better gear at higher tiers. Why am I wasting it on characters that I won't ever use? So that was another thing, because this game is very resource intensive. It is a resource management game. If you are good at managing resources, you will excel at this game.
Yep.
Well, that explains a lot for me.
And if you play like I do, you also might have fun. I'm getting better. I'm recovering. So let's get into some of the news that has come out today. Perfect timing. I love it. We're recording on Wednesday, so of course we just got the official word that Darth Nihilus, speaking of KOTOR, is in fact that mystery red lightsaber we saw last week.
Who called that? It was me. I mean, a lot of people, but especially me.
I think it was, God, what's his name? The Internet? Is that?
Yeah.
Is that
yeah.
who it was?
Well, I am of the Internet, so basically.
Although I was like the outlier that's like, oh, it's probably Malgus or something. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people thought it was red.
Yeah, I know.
No, see, it was the description about hunger and all that stuff that... If you played KOTOR 2, that's all Nihilus talks about is like, I need to eat the Force, basically.
Yeah, it makes sense.
He's Darth hungry.
He's coming in an event. We don't know much about it at all. Just that there's going to be an event tied to it. And yeah, hopefully it's something like this Krennic and Death Trooper event. I'm enjoying that so far.
Yes, it is a fun event.
A shard allocation from it seems random. Like,
oh, really?
Well, I don't know. Like you got 15 the first time, then 5, 10. Like there was no easy pattern, and like Krennic is stuck at like 5 over the rank. It was just it was a weird distribution of shards.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure why they picked 55 total shards for the Death Trooper. I know that they don't.
Death Trooper.
Yeah, I know that they only put half of what you'll need for Krennic because they're planning on doing another event for Krennic.
Yeah.
But for this Nihilus, I am praying to the Star Wars gods that it is not a tournament. I hate tournaments.
No, so it said...
You know who likes tournaments? Nobody.
Yeah. I've been seeing talk on the subreddit about tournaments being like they're not doing tournaments anymore. They're done.
Unless they come up with a whole new format. I mean, they might eventually redo it.
Right.
I really hope that they've completely put the lid on those and will never do them again because they were so susceptible to cheating.
Right.
And that was a big, big problem. They tried to even the playing field a little bit between paying and free-to-play players with the arena points or the ally points.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, ally points. But I don't know how people were cheating because I've never sought to cheat on a game.
Yeah.
But somehow people were, and
I've read about it a little.
I think it ruined tournaments, and
I
really don't bring them back.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like even at this point, I feel like they just have such a bad. People have a bad taste in their mouth for tournaments. So like even if you tweak it a little, like it's kind of burned me once, burned me twice, burned me 3, 4, 5 times, whatever, you know.
Well, yeah, for a while there was like 3 a week. Yeah, I think that the death knell was rung today, actually, with the release of the TIE Advanced in a pack.
Yep.
Like that was them saying we're not doing another.
It even
tournament
says in the release notes. Let me see. Head to the store now to 7-star your TIE Advanced and TIE Reaper, which tells me that's like your path. That's what they're saying. Your path to getting this ship to 7 stars is not more tournaments. If you want to 7-star it, you buy this pack.
Yeah,
obviously
which is
over and over.
Really expensive pack.
Yeah, it's like
$20,
3,000 crystals or something. Or?
$29.99, almost 3,000 crystals.
Yeah.
Which
and that is roughly $30-ish.
Yeah, that's a chunk.
Especially for somebody like me who is essentially free to play, except for the occasional crystal pack.
But that first pack, they say you are going to get enough shards to unlock one of the two, TIE Advanced or TIE Reaper.
And a few of my guildmates have already bought the one pack just to try and get the TIE Advanced.
Right.
And it is random. You will get either the TIE Advanced or the TIE Reaper.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we had a couple people in our guild who bought it pretty much out of the gates too. I saw right after it came out. So,
and I think a lot of people did just on the hopes that they would get the TIE Advanced because
I kind of like the TIE Reaper from the look of it personally, but I want both. In fairness,
yeah, I would like the TIE Advanced, but like I said, I'm already farming Zetas from the Zeta challenge, so ships. I'm saving my crystals for Krennic and Death Trooper.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saving my crystals for.
Yeah. But the big news this week, Nihilus came out. Obviously, that's kind of a teaser still. But Kylo Ren got a rework, and the whole First Order is ready to march and crush the galaxy under its shiny blue wheel.
Like you remember when Finn got a rework, and they dusted up the Resistance just a little bit. They shined him up a little bit.
Just a little.
The First Order, they although arguably the Resistance, they didn't have to do quite as much to fix them. First Order, they just said, all right, this team is awful. Let's change everything.
And everybody laughed when I got my First Order officer to 7 stars.
Yeah.
Who's laughing now?
Hey, I've got a 7-star officer.
Let me feel special for 1 minute, Sean.
No.
Give me 1 minute.
I've given you too much time with that First Order officer already. So everyone knew the Kylo thing was coming, but the rest of them are kind of surprises. Basically, everyone totally changed except Phasma,
who got a Zeta in the big update of whatever a month and a half ago.
Yep. And I mean, she was good already. So
right, and I thought they were going to rework her.
I didn't see it in the update.
Her leader ability, but I guess they didn't.
I mean, she got the Zeta ability, but
she did,
Yeah.
and her Zeta does help first order synergy a lot.
Yeah, the triple chance on the bonus attack alone is insane. So let's kind of go through a little bit of what the changes are here. Kylo Ren obviously being the... Actually, honest to God, the other three are pretty darn drastic as well.
I think the Stormtrooper is a huge change. Personally.
Oh, I'm so happy about that.
The Stormtrooper is big. It makes me really wish that I had been farming my First Order Stormtrooper. Yeah. I will admit my First Order team is kind of lacking. My Phasma is gear 10, 7 stars, just because Phasma was always awesome.
Sure.
And my First Order TIE Fighter, or my First Order TIE Pilot, when he was the login character for not last December, but the first December was out.
When he was awesome.
Yeah, he was awesome. And so I started farming him. I got him to 4 stars, and of course it's a very, very, very long farm to get your First Order TIE Pilot to 7 stars because he only has those 2 hard modes.
Yep.
But I eventually continued, and it got to the point where I was like, okay, you know what? Every day, those are just going to be my light side, dark side battles for my challenge, for my daily activities. I'm just going to do my First Order TIE Pilot battles. And eventually, I hit 7 stars, so those are the only 2 First Order that I have.
Yeah. Well, they were the only 2 worth 7 starring, I guess. That makes sense.
For the time,
I actually used First Order Stormtrooper for a while early on in the game. Because we got it for free.
Great. Yeah, he was really great for the tank challenge.
Oh, yeah.
Back when you actually had to do the tank challenge and couldn't sim it. He was really great for it. I
was thinking like the A18. I'm like, what are you talking about?
No,
sorry.
The Mace Windu one.
Tank class challenge. The gear challenge.
All these new kids, especially who might listen to the show, don't even know about. You couldn't use the sim challenges? Yes, it was horrible.
Yeah, I know.
Back in my day. Although, to be fair, that just meant you had to play your challenges, and that was about all you had to play a day. Now you have raids and ships and ship challenges and etc. But it's an improvement, though. So
it is.
So let's go over what we got for Kylo Ren here.
Okay.
His Ragged Cut, the Omega upgrade now grants an additional healing immunity chance and debuff duration, and a 15% damage buff. So that's good. His basic damage is pretty low, so it was good to see that. Let me pull up his actual sheet too here. Lash Out, which was his AoE attack, grants turn meter to everybody and advantage to his First Order allies. He gets a retribution for another turn, plus 15% damage. So that's better for sure. Outrage is his other single target attack. Got bumped up with can have stunning when he is full health and does extra damage when he's below full health. And his Zeta for this is, frankly, I think amazing.
Yes.
15% damage extra, and he recovers protection equal to the damage dealt.
Which, if he is under, if he has 0 protection or is under max health, he's going to be getting like. We're talking like I could see this attack because I saw it at 6 stars gear 8 at level 70 doing almost 10,000 damage if he was below 50% health.
Sure.
It got a damage boost now, and damage is just higher since got his 85 now. I could see this attack probably dealing upwards, especially on a gear max Kylo Ren, probably closer to 25,000 damage. So that's a big protection gain.
Yeah, and it says the official stat is it deals 75% more if he's below full health. So that's anything but 100% health. So that's not hard to pull off.
Nope.
No, not at all.
His unique Unstoppable,
especially with Unstoppable.
Right, he gets offense and defense whenever he takes damage. And they call it stacking defense in the description.
It is stacking.
But it says in the actual full description, he gets 50% defense and 15% offense for 1 turn. So it's in between turns, it seems like. So if he gets hit 3 times, he'd get 150% defense and 45% offense. But it would reset every turn.
Yeah.
He also, on that one, he gets a speed boost, 10 speed for every debuff that's on him.
Yep.
And the Omega, he now inflicts dots on himself whenever he uses a special ability, which sounds like it sucks, except that it gives him 20 speed.
It does. And that dot damage will increase his offense and defense.
Right.
That's why a dot
dots don't bypass protection, right? It still burns protection first.
Yes. Sure, but he's taking damage, so it feeds itself.
Right, but it wouldn't be able to beat 100% protection and still trigger.
Correct.
Although
you could put him on a team with like Palpatine or something, and drain that way.
He's not a Sith, unfortunately, so he wouldn't get any of the synergy that. But so Kylo Ren got a pretty good bump here. He's kind of a unique play style. It looks like because he's totally cool with getting debuffs.
And what's great about the rework is that it makes Kylo another one of those characters that's like Boba Fett, who is very compatible with nearly every squad. You can throw him into almost any squad and he'll shine. He doesn't have to be with other First Order. He does have that synergy on his Lash Out where he grants turn meter to First Order allies, but he also grants turn meter to allies with advantage. So if you have Phasma on the team using her Victory March, then use his Lash Out, he's going to give everybody turn meter.
I think it's interesting with this too, though, is that his base damage is still low.
It is.
Obviously, there's a lot of things going on adjusting it, so he's going to be kind of unreliable in that regard. But his base damage for his basic is, tops out at below 4,000 still.
Yeah.
Base.
But they didn't drop his health. They didn't decrease his health or protection. So that's one thing to consider. They boosted his damage without taking away any of his health or protection, which he was a pretty tanky attacker to begin with. So I think the reason that they didn't want to make him just this insane crazy attacker was because his health and protection was so high to begin with.
No, and I like it when they make characters that make sense, fluff wise. That seems to be the kind of character he is, who kind of feels himself on pain and anger, and I really like when they can kind of work that into the game somehow. And that seems to really fit what they did with it.
Yeah,
I really like his animation where he is where he gets when he takes damage or whatever it is, and he hits his side like he did in the movie.
Oh, I've never noticed that. That's awesome.
It's awesome. Next time you play him, now you'll be watching and you'll see he hits his side where he got hurt. I think it was where he got shot in. Because shot him with his bowcaster, and he took it like a champ.
Nice.
So the Kylo Ren is not the only one to get buffed.
Yep. Oh no,
far from it. So moving on down the line, we got First Order Officer, who got two very important changes. Marching Orders, which is his special, whereas before it used to be a random ally, you get to pick what ally gets the advantage and turn meter.
Much
so
like
that's
special.
Yes. So it's pretty crazy in that regard.
Special?
Jyn Erso.
Oh, okay.
Which was the first instance we saw of targeted allies in non-ship combat. So I'm glad it's kind of filtering its way in. And the Omega now dispels all debuffs from self and a target ally, the same one for still marching orders, and gives them up or tenacity up for 2 turns. So that's really good. There's something else too. Nope, if they're First Order, they get offense up for 3 turns too, but that wasn't normal. That's the total cooldown. The note says cooldown -1, so they must have reduced the cooldown by 1. So that's only a 3-turn cooldown. So that's pretty good.
Yep.
And Pinning Shot, which is the second special that the officer got, now has its cooldown reduced by 1 as well. But it reduces, on Omega, the cooldowns of all First Order allies by 1, and adds 30% turn meter reduction chance in addition to plus 15% damage.
So it brings
reducing
turn meter. Oh, reduction chance. I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it's only on the 1 shot though.
Right.
So reducing First Order ally cooldowns by 1 is going to be great.
Right.
And marching orders giving somebody targeted 100% turn meter advantage with all the advantage synergy that you have now.
Mm-hmm.
Plus dispelling debuffs, which are never going to do to Kylo Ren, obviously. That's one of the only problems I can see with that. Yeah, they really kind of made him. He was already an okay support character. It's just that he was supporting for a bad team. I like the character to begin with, and I think these are all great changes.
The marching orders I definitely see being used a lot with First Order Stormtrooper.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Because giving your tank not only dispelling all of his debuffs, but also giving him advantage, offense up, and tenacity up if you dispelled any debuffs. Holy moly. Those are like the dream buffs for any tank.
Well, I think that the way it reads, you don't have to have dispelled anything to give them tenacity up.
No, you're right.
Dispel debuffs from officer and target ally and grant them both tenacity up. So,
in addition to, you're right. You're right. Tenacity
so it's
up.
even better.
Right off the board.
Speaking of the Stormtrooper, who was always the weakest of the team, he's awesome now.
Which was an achievement, but yeah.
I always liked him because I like that he had counterattack and he had some advantage synergy. But his basic now on Omega will dispel all buffs from target enemy if he has advantage, in addition to 15% extra damage, which I think is what the Omega was before. So if he has advantage, which obviously he's with this team, it sounds like you're always going to have.
Going to get it, yeah.
Dispels on his basic, so that's amazing.
Yeah.
The Order Relentless, which was his special, it just gave everybody like defense up before.
Yeah,
it really sucked.
Yeah,
it was just a way for the AI to throw a turn away.
Right now, it gives all allies turn meter 25% and defense up. But importantly, he dispels all debuffs on himself, gains advantage, and taunt for 2 turns,
which is something he definitely needed.
The fact that he had like
he gets advantage from that.
Yeah.
He already had that. Yeah.
Yeah. From his Omega. But so the fact that he can taunt now alone, anything else out of there, but on top of he dispels his own debuffs. In addition to the First Order Officer dispelling his debuff, you're not going to be able to debuff this guy.
Especially not with tenacity up.
Yeah, your debuff block to stop you from taunting, First Order Officer gets rid of it, or he gets rid of it. It's a cool upgrade for him.
It is.
And his special Return Fire, which was just a counterattack chance. Whenever he uses any ability, he has a 50% chance to call an assist, dealing 50% damage unless they're First Order, which the way I read that, they do full damage if they're First Order.
I believe so.
Right?
That's the way I
interpret the way I read it.
And if they are First Order, they do full damage and gives them advantage for 2 turns.
If they were First Order.
Correct.
So
it's insane. So
now this guy, I think, unlike Kylo, would not see a lot of use outside of a First Order team.
No. Well, he's got
necessarily.
He does, but
here's the thing: he's got taunt on a 3-turn cooldown with a 2-turn duration. So he's only got a 1-turn down turn. With First Order Officer, he'll be constantly taunting with that reduced cooldown.
Yep.
He's kind of slow, but
yeah. But you definitely you kind of want your tanks slow. But
you can give him the boost with Phasma to get him to go early on turn 1, and then
now
keep him slow.
Is First Order Officer, what's his base speed?
Base speed is 145.
So he's not slow.
No.
You could mod him potentially to go first on your First Order team, and now granted under AI control is going to be random, but on your on manual, on offense in arenas or in Galactic War or whatever, you can use your First Order Officer to give your Stormtrooper 100% turn meter for his first turn. He gets advantage, throws out his taunt, dispels all buffs because he had advantage, dispels all buffs because he had advantage, and I mean it's going to be awesome. So.
Well, and First Order Officer is a good bit faster even than Phasma. Phasma's base 121, so
yeah. Or you could do that. You could use the First Order Officer to boost Phasma, then use Phasma's Victory March to boost everybody, give everybody advantage. So there's some definite synergy going on, and I'm really liking it with First Order.
That's kind of a way to circumnavigate having insane mods on everyone, too.
Correct.
This guy with your absolute best speed mods. He targets Phasma. Phasma gets everyone the turn meter they need, and it's kind of like you just had a really good modded team.
So here's the thing: Victory March has got a 4-turn cooldown. Marching Orders has a 3-turn cooldown. So turn 1, you Marching Orders Phasma, who gives everybody turn meter. First Order Officer then uses Spinning Shot to reduce cooldowns by 1, so you only have a 2-turn wait to then give everybody Victory March again, which you can use Marching Orders 1 turn sooner to give Phasma 100% turn meter again to use it.
And then Phasma's second turn, you can slow everybody too. So
So there's a lot of fidgetiness here. You can
there's some strategy
get the right
behind
timing.
This team. Yeah,
some good strategic timing, like you said.
So, not to be forgotten, the character who actually has seen a lot of use before is the First Order TIE Pilot. Now Double Tap has 5% extra multi-attack chance.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
They have basically made this. I believe the goal was to make it essentially almost 100% multi-attack chance.
Yeah.
Let's see. First Order TIE Pilot.
It's 55% chance. If he has advantage, it's a 100%, 110% chance. Yeah.
Right.
Well, yes. So if he has advantage, which he'll have advantage, he'll be double tapping. And if his second attack crits, well, now he gets advantage again.
So stack him with crit chance.
And he gets 30% out of the gates, which we'll get to. But
or,
down,
you know, like we said, if Phasma boosts everyone, he has advantage. He can double tap. He gives himself advantage again. He's going to double tap again. He's in a loop of double tapping at that point.
Right.
Worst case scenario, that's doing no specials. That would be what he does.
Right. Also, Gun Down, his second ability, also known as the ability nobody used because double tap was better. It had its cooldown reduced by 1 off the bat is good. If it's Omega, it now can inflict buff immunity for 2 turns if he has advantage.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic.
Okay, so now we have a reason to use this.
Exactly. Actually gives you a motivation to use Gun Down.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's got 15% additional damage, which may actually make it better than double tap.
Well, hey, if you have advantage, which you will, its base damage is 9,000 to 10,000 at max level. So, I mean,
so
look at 20.
It's like 2 double tap shots, you know?
Right.
Yeah,
and if you mod him with crit damage mods, you could boost that crit damage to 216, 218 pretty easily.
Yes.
So I'm pretty sure that's what mine's got on him.
Now, his unique Keen Eye, whereas before it used to trigger when somebody would fall below half health, now whenever anybody is not at full health, it triggers, which is outstanding.
So much better.
Yes.
And now he has a Zeta level, which gives him an additional plus 15% crit chance, 10% critical damage, and 70% chance to gain Foresight for 2 turns anytime he loses advantage, which is every time he shoots.
Yes, that is all.
Although, interestingly, the way they word that, if somebody dispels his advantage, he gains Foresight.
Yes.
And that is
kind of the opposite of the resistance, also, where if they lose Foresight, they gain advantage. And this guy, if he loses advantage, gains Foresight.
So
funny how that works.
Side note, as I'm looking here, really looking over all these characters, First Order Officer has the highest speed by like a pretty good margin.
Which makes sense. Strategic.
That was one of the biggest gripes that people had about First Order TIE Pilot was that he was slow and squishy. Unless you got him to like gear 10 or gear 11, he was really squishy.
Yeah. Well, hey, guess what? Now the First Order Stormtrooper can taunt. we're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So that's the First Order.
This will help me finally beat that stupid First Order mod challenge. Because
it's going to be the
they're
reverse
just
of
way better now.
Which made 9B so hard. Now it's going to make that mod challenge so much easier.
Right, yeah.
I still need to go unlock my First Order officer.
I 7-starred him a long time ago for reasons unknown.
Yeah.
I think I've had illusions of making a First Order team many times over the last 15 months.
It's one of those abandoned projects, I'm pretty sure, that is 7-star level 1.
Yeah. I think mine's like in the 60s.
Pretty sure.
So yeah, what do you guys think collectively about the First Order team now?
I think it's a successful rework. I think that you'll see people using First Order, if not in arenas, because let's face it, Zeta Vader is pretty much, which I know we're getting to that eventually in the meta report review. But I really don't see First Order stealing the -- spot in a lot of arena shards, but it does give people some good options for raids.
Yeah.
If they throw in a team on one of the raid phases on either raid, tank or rancor. And then I think it gives people a good viable option if they need a new A squad or a B squad for their Galactic War. I think it's a good synergy, and I think that they did a good job with it.
Mm-hmm. Looking at it, it looks like it'd be decent in the AAT raid.
I think so too.
I think it doesn't have the turn meter reduction that you need to be really good at the pit, but who isn't really good at the pit except me these days. So,
I think it might be a good if you need a second team for phase 3, probably.
Sure. Well, I could see most teams doing pretty good at phase 2, where you just need to knock the tank down a bunch.
Mm-hmm. True. Phase 2.
I think that all the turn meter gain that they have is going to help them avoid enrage a lot easier.
Absolutely.
Kind of the opposite of how the turn meter reduction team works.
Well, and if you time it right, you can, with the constant, whenever they lose advantage, they're giving each other buffs. It'll also help with toppling the tank in phase 2 fairly often, because let's face it, you gotta be able to take out all 3 cannons quickly if you want to topple.
Yeah.
And with all of the advantage, all of the damage that these characters are going to be doing more often now, Kylo Ren's Retribution, while his basic doesn't do a whole lot of damage, lasts for 2 turns now. So
yeah. And you should point out also that this is going to be kind of handy with all those bonuses that are being given. Phase 3 and phase 4, where there's that death cannon. Where if it hits you and you're not buffed, you are negative 1 billion hit points.
right.
Like these guys are throwing buffs around like crazy. So
it's also one more team that just puts a nail in the coffin of that Ventress Zeta ability. Like, hey, if nobody's buffed, everybody's always buffed. There's no unbuffed teams.
I love that unique that Ventress has. That I think was one of the best little hidden tweaks that they added to the game not too long ago.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because nobody never triggers.
Yeah.
I really like this First Order team simply because as anybody who listens to the show knows, I love synergy teams. I don't like just throwing the 5 most powerful characters together and throwing them at the wall. So I really like that the First Order team works well together.
I think Capital Games loves synergy teams lately too.
All of a sudden,
yeah, which is great. I'm a fan.
So I'm definitely a fan.
Isn't that the whole point of faction tags, is to create that synergy, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. Absolutely. It seems like they forgot that for about a year though.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, he's a Sith. So what?
And I'm sitting here with a Night Sister team thinking, hey guys.
I know, right?
Oh, poor people with Night Sisters.
I keep trying to make them work, and they're bad. They're
so
bad.
I think they're waiting. I think they're waiting for the perfect time to drop Mother Talzin on us.
We've been pitching that for a long time.
Yeah. That's one of my most wanted characters.
I've always wondered why old Daka's in the game, but Mother Talzin isn't.
Yeah, I mean, the other character whose name you actually know from the cartoon.
And she does what Mother Talzin would do with, like, bringing people back from the dead. Like, that's totally I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
I digress.
So maybe March will be the Night Sisters month, and we'll get a full rework for all of them. Huh?
They'll get reworked. I'm
No, they
almost
won't.
certain they will.
It's
Eventually. I'm not saying next month by any means.
me and they're the 4 other people who have a full Night Sisters team at 7 stars and an 85.
But look at it this way: we've got like really, really good Rebels teams, really good Empire teams. First Order and Resistance both just got reworks. Got a great clone team. Like, there's enough awesome synergies that, like, that's one of the big glaring, like, yeah, there's a tag, but these guys kind of teams.
Yeah, but
So-
Night Sisters.
Jawas could
have a little
use.
bit of synergy going on. Ewoks got some synergy going on, but Night Sisters and Separatists.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Separatists seems like it's such an afterthought. Like, oh, I guess we'll put this tag in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it kind of seemed to me when they first introduced the Separatist tag.
Mhm.
I mean, you got Count Dooku, Asajj Ventress, and the Geonosians. Those were like the only Separatists.
And
Added
some of the
B2.
droids.
Yeah.
Yeah, they added B2, and you still don't see. It's like, okay, Separatists. Okay.
Yeah, they're there. I still want the B1 droid. I don't know why we can't have that guy.
You want a whole
I don't think he'd
squad
be any
of them.
good. I just want him.
Or I'd like to see the destroyer droid.
Oh,
That
yeah,
would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be really cool.
Little tiny sliver of health, but a huge protection pool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this is kind of a callback to 5 things we've talked about, but with Darth Nihilus, one of the things is he always wants to, he consumes the Force. That's like his thing, right? He sucks the Force out of things.
Mm-hmm.
What about a new tag like Force user? Because there are things like Darth Nihilus who could say, if this person is a Force user, it does this. Or Grievous, who was trained to fight against Jedis, would get a bonus against that instead of only being against Jedi. I was thinking it'd be cool to have that tag in there just to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe. I don't know.
I think rather than create a whole new faction, because from my understanding, new faction tags require approval from Lucasfilms.
Yeah.
I think what they would probably just do is create those abilities to affect Jedi or Sith.
Yeah, I just think there's I guess there aren't too many Force users who aren't Jedi or Sith and actually tagged as such in the game.
Yeah.
Right?
I guess just the Night Sisters would be immune.
Yes, they would, because Asajj Ventress isn't listed as a Sith.
Either is the old Daka, who I assume she uses the Force to do that.
I would assume so, unless they don't consider the Night Sister magics to be using the Force.
Lucasfilm always has, but you never know.
I don't know why it wouldn't be considered the Force, but
Yeah. So that's the First Order. I'm pretty pumped because I'm not, except for that horrible First Order Stormtrooper grind. I'm pretty much there.
Well, I'm curious to see how it works out because I'm doing a Resistance team right now. So I hope that I find a suitable First Order team to square off against at some point.
I do wish the game had like just a versus mode,
Sure.
like a total friendly, just like I could just fight somebody else.
that was one thing that I asked for when I did interview John Salerno and Cap Gas when I was up at CDE. I asked them specific. I was like, are there any plans for adding like a sandbox feature to the game where you can build an enemy squad of to your liking, be able to configure it, even specify. It would be awesome if you could just pick a character, their star level, and their gear level, and just put them on the enemy squad. And just be able to sandbox against them, because I think that would be awesome for lower level players too, who don't have really powerful characters, and not just, okay, well, you have one choice. You can put this character at 7 stars max gear, because beginner players aren't going to want to do that. They're not going to want to face off with maxed out characters. That's ridiculous. So I think it would be really awesome, especially for those newer characters or newer players, to be able to, oh, hey, I have this arena guy that I just can't beat. I just can't beat his squad, and so I'm gonna sandbox against his team.
And there's no reward besides knowledge,
right?
Right.
Yeah. That would be awesome.
What'd they say?
They said, well, we got a lot of other things we're working on. But at the time, they still hadn't released a tank raid, so it was one of those.
Well, yeah, tank raid and ships were both still outstanding at the time.
Yeah, tank raid and ships. So it was definitely, something they sounded enthusiastic about, the concept. And I'm really hoping that since ships are behind us, the tank raid is behind us. And
now that we can all grind Zetas, ships are behind us. Yes.
Rogue One is well, I mean, for the development team.
Right, yeah. No, I got you.
And I mean, I can grind Zetas. Doesn't seem to be freaking working.
Those things never stinking drop.
I've had it for like a month, and I've got like 4.
You have 4? No, you're exaggerating.
I've bought one from Fleet Shipments, and I
bought one from Fleet Shipments too.
I think I'm at 12 Zetas. Zeta Mats, not Zetas. I don't have the old character Zeta. Oh my gosh,
not worthy.
No, I still don't have the Zeta character.
Yeah, I have 6, and I have bought
Seriously?
one.
Wow. I have 14.
And I got it a week earlier than you did.
I know. Which is
the drop rate is so finicky, man. I'm telling you.
I've been buying. That's almost all I buy from ships.
Okay. See, I've only bought the one. I'm grinding clones, man.
I grind them, and then the only thing I'll buy besides that is Slave 1 shards, or blueprints. If they have Slave 1 there, I buy it. If not, I
still feel comfortable calling them shards instead of switching to blueprints.
I know.
No, I know. I still catch myself calling them shards.
So there's also a new thing you can spend some money on, real monies. TIE Attack Pack, which is characteristically rhymey. The first time you buy it, it'll get you a TIE Advanced or a TIE Reaper.
Yep.
And then, 5 for 15 shards.
Yeah.
It's basically worth it for one purchase, maybe, if you want one of those 2 ships. The end.
Yeah. I wish that if they, with their implementation of this, because I think 3,000 crystals is kind of steep for.
I would rather do 3,000 shards.
Right.
Yeah, that right. But yeah, 3,000 crystals I think is pretty steep. Now, I could see it being a good value if, the first time you buy it, it's 3,000 crystals, and then the next time you buy it is 1,000 or 1,500.
Right.
Sure.
Because it only drops shards or chance of shards in subsequent purchases.
This is the quintessential whale pack, where
definitely
it's a very buyer beware thing, because you could, if you save up the 3,000 crystals, or you make a one-time purchase of crystals or whatever, but and buy it. Okay, you've unlocked your 4-star ship. You will not make that a 5-star ship. As it stands, you will not be making that a 5-star.
So, a couple things occurred to me. One, if I exceed 7 stars on a ship, those blueprints go to the shard shop? What happens to those?
Yes, they do.
Oh, okay. I guess
that's not that I've done that, but I've seen it on Reddit.
And it's interesting how this is kind of something they got away from so much. When the Iridium packs kind of stopped being a thing, where not having to buy all those packs, because that's one of the things that I love about this game compared to so many other games, is that it's not random.
You can focus on something.
Yeah. You want to get the TIE Advanced. Okay, there's a couple of ways to grab it. It's going to take you a long dang time, but you can do it, as opposed to spend $30 a pop for 15 shards, maybe.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I'm not a whale, obviously, and it seems to work for him. So I'm not going to really hate the game because it lets me stay relatively free.
Right.
But it still bugs me.
So just a couple other things this week. We have mentioned that we have a ground war coming.
Yes.
New event.
The kitchen sink event.
The kitchen sink event, where
It's
you
Night
take
Sisters, Resistance, and Ugnaught, right?
your Ewoks, Resistance, and Ugnaught.
Ah,
Yeah.
Fighting
Ewoks.
against Night Sisters.
Yes. So weird. So this is based on a unused Clone Wars story arc. No. It's not.
Two
But,
teams that don't exist for 50 years.
Yeah. I actually decided, like, almost instantly after we recorded last week, that I'm putting 100% of my focus on my Resistance team. Not that they're good, per se, but I went crazy going back and forth between Vader and Qui-Gon and Barriss and all these different Zeta ideas, and I just said, you know what? Fin it. We're gonna fin it. I'm gonna be that guy that slaps it on Finn and goes out guns a-blazing.
I still have...
It's not a bad Zeta.
No, plus I think they look like a really fun team to me.
I have gone up against a guy on my arena shard who was playing, I want to say, Boba Fett lead with Poe, Finn. I think he might have had Rey on there too. And I don't remember who his fifth was, but oddly enough, I was playing my Empire team at the time, which I still haven't Zeta'd my Vader yet, so it's still Emperor Palpatine lead.
Sure.
And I just couldn't take him out. I didn't have a dispel on my squad, so I couldn't get rid of the taunts, and it would just bounce from Poe to Finn, and I'd just get ruined by
Your
everyone.
buff block didn't do that? Your buff block from TIE Fighter Pilot should take care of that.
Poe's pretty darn fast, though,
I got
too.
really unlucky. I got really unlucky with my because I run Han Solo on my squad. So my arena squad right now is Emperor Palpatine, TIE Fighter Pilot, Stormtrooper, who's at 4 stars, Vader, and Han Solo. Because I like going up against teams that don't have a Stormtrooper or Baze. So I'll use my Han Solo to stun their tank. And then usually, hopefully, get a buff immunity off on their tank when I use my TIE Fighter Pilot. But I just got unlucky, and I think doesn't Finn have the ability to cleanse debuffs off of his?
Yeah.
Oh God, really?
So that's
It cleanses the whole party. Yeah.
So that's a thing. So.
Well, that's why I love TIE Fighter Pilot so much, because he gives ability block on the main target too.
Yep.
That's why I do it against anything remotely wigs. I just like, okay, I'm going to ability block you and then buff block everybody else.
Yeah, I love Fighter Pilot. He's so much fun.
He's the best.
And then also we have Droids Fight Back coming back. Neat. And Special Operations, by the time this airs, will be in full effect. Once again, round 3 starts in a couple hours as we record. So, and then
excited.
And then yeah, that was a kind of interesting thing with the first couple. That it seemed like the first version of it, Special Operations Round 1 or whatever, was just a cakewalk, and then the second one just ramped up in difficulty pretty quick. Personally, I did pretty well. I noticed that it got a lot harder than the first one.
Well, I just
a lot of people have been
in.
talking about how that's kind of ouch.
Since I already run Empire, the Krennic and Death Trooper got along just fine, so I was already synergizing with them, so I didn't have any problems.
I actually ran Vader lead on my squad for the first Special Operations. Just thinking, I wonder how well this will work, because Krennic's leader ability grants potency and crit chance.
Sure.
So why run Emperor Palpatine? That's just double stacking potency. I don't need that much potency, so I decided to run Vader, and it was interesting. I didn't have to swap it out. I was able to clear the last node, but
See, what's interesting to me about Palpatine, his biggest benefit isn't his potency buff; it's his turn meter gain on debuff.
Yeah, and I realized that when I would use Force Crush with Vader and he didn't immediately get to go again, I was like,
"Oh yeah,
that's you don't see, Sean. You don't run Vader like in your competitive teams."
No, I use him a lot I use the two of them a lot in Galactic War though.
Okay, he's so slow. The whole thing is you Force Crush, Calling Blade, and then you get a basic attack, and that's the only reason you use him. He gets like one turn, basically.
3 turns of ultimate combination.
Yeah. And that's all he does. Then he doesn't go again because he's so slow. Well, the same thing with TIE Fighter Pilot, but that's why this Zeter that everybody's talking about sounds great, except what about my turn meter boost? Question though about Zeter, and you guys, since none of us have them, with the stacking dots that just keep going, can they be dispelled by the opposing team?
Yeah, and they would come right back.
Yes, they can be dispelled, but they come right back. So if you run up against an opponent, Chirrut Imwe, who cleanses debuffs and turns them into buffs, or General Kenobi, who cleanses and turns them into opposite. Yeah, it's hilarious because if you run Boba Fett on your squad and Zeta Vader against a team with General Kenobi, and you Force Crush and Kenobi keeps turning them into HOTS, eventually you're going to have a stack of buffs and debuffs so big that Boba Fett will be able to execute darn near anybody on that team.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
All right, it's time for the Meta Report, the part of the show where we look at the trending characters that #1 ranked players are using on their squads to help you see where to put your resources for the best ROI. Data is pulled weekly from our friends over at SWGoH.gg and is based on reporting from over 1,200 first-place teams. John, what do you got for us this week?
Well, on the leaderboard, we don't see a ton of movement. So a lot of it's pretty expected. Wedge is still #1, down to 19% from 23. I think that's people are still, the consensus is still slowly moving away from that traditional, at this point, speed AoE. Vader with the Zeter is gaining a little bit more ground, up 3% to 15. Palpatine slipped down to 10 from 11, again, I think because those same Empire players are now putting Zeter in the lead. Yep. Boba Fett's going because I think people realize you don't need to have him in leader to have him be good.
Yeah.
Rex gained a little bit of ground, up to 8%.
I think it's Zeter.
Yeah, because the clear debuff. Yeah, that makes sense. So the counter. And then the next 4 are the same as they were last week. Darth Maul, Kenobi, Qui-Gon, and Lando. I'm a little surprised to see Lando hanging on, frankly.
I think that is because if you don't have incredible speed mods, running him as your leader, if you have a Wigs team, really helps make up for that lack of.
I can vouch for that. I'm currently running Wigs, and I had to do a lot of work with farming better mods and focusing who has exactly what mods to make them competitive without Lando. And it's a better team without Lando, I think, if you have those mods.
Sure.
Yes.
Well, rounding out the top 10 is Meatbag Killer himself, HK47, down 1%, down to 2. So yeah, not a lot of surprises on the leaderboard. You're seeing things kind of even out a little bit. A few of the Zeta abilities are kind of making some shifts, but otherwise looks relatively stable in there compared to, say, last week when things were just all over the place. With the characters, again, you're seeing some movement, but nothing crazy.
Yeah.
Boba Fett is still topping the list at 37%, only down from 39.
Which is a huge testament to EA's success with that rework.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. I didn't sort these things right for my characters.
That's our whole music is.
It's me singing. I like to sing about the sun and the moon and the I think Boba Fett's still at the top of this.
Boba Fett is still
backwards. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, Boba Fett is still number 1 at 37, like I said. Palpatine takes a slight drop down to 34 from 35.
But
Wedge and Biggs, it's still interesting to me because why aren't they at the same percent?
That's so weird to me.
I don't know why people are running Wedge without Biggs.
I could see people running Biggs without Wedge way before running Wedge without Biggs, but
Either way, they both took the biggest hit. 6% drop for Wedge, 7% drop for Biggs, down to 32 and 31 respectively. Mm-hmm. Same thing. They're just people are starting to move on to bigger and more interesting things. Mm-hmm. Baze lost some ground, down to 30% from 33.
Which is baffling to me because, in my opinion, Baze is a better auto taunt than Shore Trooper in almost every instance.
I can only think it may be because of the Empire.
Yeah, Shore Trooper is Empire.
But
and he's farmable now. So maybe, I don't know.
That's true. I don't know. Maybe people.
Maybe
even
it's
though
not so much of
them is ridiculously hard.
I beat it with a borrowed Zeta Qui-Gon Jinn, and I'm like 1 or 2 shards away from unlocking him finally.
Yeah. Below Baze at number 6 is B2, gaining a little ground up to 30% from 29. Shore Trooper made a similar jump up to 26. TIE Fighter Pilot, the best character in the game.
Not at tier 8, he isn't.
Up to 24. Not a gear 8, no.
Nope.
I dropped a plus. I got a speed arrow with potency set, and it's a plus 30 on this. And it is the best mod I have far and away.
Nice.
And it went to him because I want him to go. He'll go 3 times in a row sometimes if everybody's buffed or debuffed. Yeah, I write love letters to that guy. Chert is next at 22%. Down 2%. So him and Baze both took a little bit of a ride, and I'm not sure why.
It's Wedge, Biggs, Baze, and Chirrut all took
could
a.
Be Zeta Vader,
that's what I'm wondering, if he's just beating them up.
Bit.
I don't know. Anakin actually gained a little bit of ground back from 14 to 15, so he's still hanging on there.
He's who replaced Lando for me.
Yeah. Just off the board, you're seeing again, I think it's with Zader. You got 2 people or 1 character who's moving up. Rex is up to 12%. I think same thing because of the rise of Zader. Royal Guard. Don't call it a comeback. He's only at number 12.
The twin taunters for Zader is huge because Vader has to stay alive no matter what. And having 2 taunters is the way you can do it. Really.
As I'm looking at our historical data here, as of 3 weeks ago, he was down to 4% Royal Guard.
Or it could be the new pose. People love the new Royal Guard pose, and so
really,
yeah.
I mean, it's cool that he's kind of standing just to stick at his side.
I don't know. I'm just saying that. I think he looks way better. But.
I am indifferent. But he's up to 9% now. He is still clocking in at number 12, but 9%. RG making a comeback.
What about Rey? Where's Rey?
She's gone. She's like, what number is she?
Yeah, I want to see.
Hang on, let me look at the raw data 1 second.
Resistance is on its way back up, man. Rey's coming back.
She is currently
picture.
at 49th place.
There's a lot more than 49 characters, so I'm all right with that.
Yeah, she is. There were 4 people who used her out of all the teams they queried.
Ouch.
I'm going to push that up to 5. Actually, I'm never going to hit number 1 anyway.
There was 1 person who had Magma Trooper. So,
man.
What shard are you on that Magma Trooper managed to make it into the number 1 team? Mm-hmm. I love looking at this list. It's so interesting.
If you put enough potency on him,
do you have any idea how much potency you need to put on that guy?
I know. That's why I say if you put enough, he could feasibly use him to really strip some turn meter, with that thermal detonator or whatever.
Yeah, well, that's what you'll do. Just run your clone sergeant and your magma trooper just to clear out everybody's turn meter. Side note, my clone sergeant, now that I have him at 7 stars and gear 9 with some modding, he's like my 8th highest power character.
He's a beast, dude.
Whoa.
Like, he's good. He's not that good.
If you put the work in on him, he's awesome.
You know what's funny is I finally 7-starred him either this week or late last week, and immediately the next time I pulled a Bronzium pack, I pulled 7 shards for him.
So Bronzium, what are you guys doing? Are you guys like spending all your ally points now, or how are you?
If I could, I would.
I think I just popped over 400 or 500,000 ally points. I don't know. I didn't participate in either the last tournament or the last 2 tournaments.
Yeah.
Because I hated tournaments. So
yeah.
So I'm still stockpiling them. I figure it would probably take me like 3 hours to spend all those ally points, so I'm not even bothering.
At least, straight, just
handing. I mean, what is the best case scenario? Like shard shop currency?
Well, it depends. Like, I actually, when I was grinding Clone Sergeant, I would sit there when I had time for 15 minutes and just, go to town. Because 7 shards for, free? But that's big for somebody like that.
Well, yeah, especially a character that's only farmable on hard mode.
He was the worst. At least he has 3 nodes, but jeez. Yeah. I was still very mad the day after I finished it, and then 7 shards. So mad.
That's like farming first or TIE pilot.
Yeah. It's funny too with Clone Sergeant. I was at 99 to 100, and I just finished my last of the 3 things for the day in my 9th attempt. And I was 1 shard short. I said, forget it. I'm blowing all this crystals just on refreshes. I'm not waiting another day. Because I had to buy energy. I had to pay to refresh it. I spent like 200 crystals just for that 1 last shard. Because I was not going to be denied that day.
Oh, that's great.
That's funny.
So, all right. Well, before we head out here, Mist, we already kind of talked about your who you're working on right now. But John, who are you grinding?
Clones. I'm getting there. Echo and Rex are at 5 stars, like only like 5 or 6 shards away from 6. And Cody hit 6 stars today.
Nice.
So being able to farm them out of guild and fleet, they go pretty fast. I mean, I've only been at it for like a month, and those 3 characters who I had not even unlocked are getting there. And they're fun. I actually run Galactic War now, and occasionally I'll throw in, if one of them dies, I'll throw in Plo Koon with them just to go hit things. And now I'm going to finish up my first order team because it won't interfere with my clones in the slightest. And I'm almost there anyway. It's really just going to be the Stormtrooper who's going to be a thorn in my side because I got like 40 shards left to go total on the TIE pilot, which probably finished by the same amount of time.
Yeah, really.
So now I got to work out actually beat that 9A level, which I tried once with my Ewoks, and I was like, eh.
It's so hard. It's so hard.
Well, and I have garbage for light side teams.
Yeah.
All I have are the Ewoks and my clones.
I put a lot of work into Jedi a long time ago, and that's the only way I could beat it. People are saying they beat it with wigs, and good for them. But I tried that. That was not
funny, my Ewoks. I have to put like 5s or somebody with them because I usually put Royal Guard. I don't have a light side tank.
No Stormtrooper Han?
Yeah, but he's garbage.
See, I loved my Stormtrooper Han early on.
Everybody does except me.
I still rock him. I know he has fallen out of grace, but I still...
he was making a similar
comeback.
It for me. He was okay, he dropped a little more again. He's only number 13 on the character chart.
Well, I think a lot of taunters that, like, I mean, with him, Dispel is so rampant that it's like he gets that taunt up early and they dispel it right away.
Yeah, but that's not the point. The point is, at least what I see it, is just it's there to stop you from nuking one of their heavy hitters before they get to go.
That's true. I mean, it'll stop a Wigs from taking out your Wigs.
Well, kind of. Yeah, I mean, I have it because a lot of times with my Empire team, it's just who goes first. If their Stormtrooper Han is fast enough to stop me, I'll probably lose it. But if most times when I'm fast enough, I buff and or ability block him, and then I just toast Wedge, and it goes downhill from there for them. Yeah. That does remind me, though. Who are you grinding, Sean?
Right now, Resistance, I have got, they're all 7-star, all level 85. Rey, I used to use, like many of us. So she's gear 10. The rest of them are all gear 8.
Mine's not even unlocked.
It is a chore trying to gear 4 people up from gear level 8 at the same time.
I'm trying to do it with clones who all use the same equipment.
And so plus, I was one droid caller away from getting Boba Fett to gear level 9. And I get a droid caller, but Finn needed one, and I promised myself that I'm working on Resistance, so I threw it on Finn. And I every time I look at Boba Fett, I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But
I know the feeling.
I wish there was one of the stats we could pull is how many people have certain characters unlocked. Like, I want to know if I'm, like, the only person who doesn't have Rey at level 85.
Yeah, really.
Like, I accidentally got 30 shards for it.
I put a lot of work into mods. I've spent the last week, almost all of my Cantina energy has been mods. And I pulled all my best mods and threw them on my Resistance team just to see what they do in Arena. Because I left a bad team in and ended up like 130 something, which is significantly lower than where I usually am. So I figured, all right, this is an opportunity to play around with them. I tried one match and they are just garbage without Finn's leader ability and at that gear level. So I blew all my money on leveling up the last mod that I was using, and I didn't have the money to pull the mods and put them back on my Arena team. So I had to improvise an Arena team of so-so characters, like they're leveled up and modded and whatever, but not like for speed and not for Arena.
Just to tread water until you can get money.
Yeah,
we did have a credit heist today.
I corrected the problem a couple days ago, so I'm back in the top 50 range. I'm usually in the 30s somewhere, and that's where I am now. So I'm happy again. But yeah, I'm just working on them and Slave 1. I think I am going to start picking up some shards for clones because I finished Rex and I'm very close to having Sunfac done. So in the guild store, I'll probably just grab whatever clones are available. So that's it.
Solid.
That's all we've got for you this week. It may not be the best advice, but at least we didn't recommend any wacky Tusken synergies. Galactic War Report is brought to you by Radio Free Tatooine. To find the full slate of Radio Free Tatooine's offerings, head to radiofreetatooine.com or follow us on Twitter at RFT War Report. We thank you for listening, and we thank you, Miss Basirt, for stopping by. Check him out on YouTube. Click subscribe and drive that number up through the roof. He's a game changer, for crying out loud. You want to hear what he has to say and see what he's doing. We thank you for listening. If you like what you hear, we ask you to please show your support for our show as well with a rating and or review through your podcast medium of choice, or consider supporting us on patreon.com/radiofreetatooine. Thanks for tuning in, and may the Force be with you.